Hey guys, how are you? Um, the reason I really recorded this video instead of speaking face to face, I wasn't sure at the Shloshim, one, if it's going to happen in person, and two, I wasn't really sure if it would be a small setting, and I figured maybe a video would be more appropriate just in case we do some sort of Zoom. There's a saying where a friend of mine and a friend of ours, I should say, David Gottlieb and I always talk about the intention is probably more humorous, but we say something which is, as we've had boys over the years, we always make fun of each other. We say real men make men. Now, we say this just to make ourselves feel better, obviously, because we kept making boys and boys and boys and boys. But the saying itself is a concept which could be a little bit more serious where, you know, who you are and who you're around a lot of times make up sort of the attributes of who you become. They say you are who your friends are, you are who your parents are. The idea is that whoever you spend time with over the course of a day, a month, a year, or your life, they do actually reflect as a portion of who you become, because you take those attributes and you get certain things where you think that's the way to become, that's the way to act. The reason I didn't speak at the funeral and everybody else did was, it's not that I didn't feel like the time was appropriate. Obviously, it was the appropriate time to speak about Gigi. But a part of me thought that I should really spend a few more days where it's a little bit less emotional. Yes, I was even a little bit emotional. Can you imagine? But a little bit less emotional, and I could really try to express my thoughts and really talk about Gigi a little bit more, not in passing based on my current emotions at the time, but really based on thinking about the time that I spent with Gigi over the years, and a lot what I took from knowing her, and sort of really just reflect upon who I thought Gigi was and what she really did for me. Not to take away, everybody said, Gigi was a fantastic daughter and a fantastic human and a fantastic person. And I didn't really think that I would want to stress on the last year or two and how she was at home and who took care of her. And, we have the greatest appreciation for everybody who took care of her and who was involved in the later years. But Gigi to me was not, the person we know the last year or two. Not to say that wasn't her, obviously, but that's not really how I remember a lot of Gigi. And, sad as it is to say, and I'm going to admit it, that's probably part of the reason why I wasn't really there at least more than once a week, or I wasn't really there for my grandmother where I should have been in person more often, was because I didn't want that really being my memory that reflects upon who Gigi was, and that's what's going to stick with me and my kids for the rest of my life. So putting that aside, I wanted to share as to who I think Gigi was to me, and just to say some nice things about her and understand and try to express that with everybody here. Gigi was somebody who was a little bit different in terms of, people say their grandparents were great people and they're very nice people and they went through hard times, they went through Holocaust, they went through the war. Gigi, aside from my grandparents, obviously I was closest with Gigi and Papi only because I spent the most time with Gigi and Papi. Obviously the least time with Abba because I knew him the shortest amount, but obviously I have a lot of good memories and fantastic things, and Abba and Ima are great people, obviously. Which they were. They were really special people, and Gigi and Papi were really, really special people. But Gigi in particular was a little bit closer in that Gigi was there when I grew up. She was there every day. She would take me to the bus. Gigi was there in the summers where I stayed in the same house for her on my teenage years. We stayed in the same colony over my years growing up as a kid. So Gigi was, in a sense, not necessarily a parent, but a grandparent who was very, very close with me and who I was very close with, and left a lot of different lessons and memories for me. My grandmother was, and not to say that others are not, obviously, but my grandmother was, to me, a mensch. Now, everybody could say people they know are mensch, but I don't really think most people are the true essence of what a mensch is. A mensch, to me, without going through specifics, is what God intended a good human being to be. Yes, she took care of her father. Yes, she had a lot of good things to say about people. Yes, she was a great grandmother. She was really inside and out to her core what a human being should be. Some people would come over and say, "Oh, Joey, I might do something nice," and some people might actually even have nice things to say about me over the last few years. And what I don't think most people understand is that so much of that has come from not necessarily my parents. Obviously, I contribute a lot of that to my parents and what they've done, but I'd say even a bigger part was to do with my grandparents. Gigi and Poppy and Abba and Ima, and Gigi in particular, she was there for me. These are the memories I have that really stick out. It's not the last 2 years of her sitting at home. Gigi, I would see her, how she spoke to people. I would see how she dealt with Poppy. I would see how she interacted on a daily basis as a human being. And I've tried to follow in her footsteps to try to think that, what would make Gigi think this is the right thing to do. And I think about that a lot where I do anything in life, and I think about what my grandparents would think about me, let alone if they're watching over me or up above, or they were standing right in the same room. I really try to make them proud and try to think, whatever they would do, that's probably what a mensch is. And I know I'm not going through specific examples. I'm trying not to obviously get emotional, because God forbid I couldn't do that in public ever. But my grandmother, to me, was inside out a mensch, in that she cared about everybody around her. She cared about more everybody around her than herself, about her kids. I think that reflects a lot in this family. So the saying about men make men, or you are who you're around, or you are who you're with, I think that says a lot about not just me, but all of us here. Parents, my parents, siblings, cousins, uncles, and I think this family and a lot of us have really become and grown into a mensch. We have a certain connection, a lot of siblings do, but I think us as siblings and my cousins, the way we are and the way we treat people in this world, I think every single one of us has something in us where we're a little bit special, in that most families are not like this. Most families, to their cores, are not mensch. They always have an ulterior motive. They always have something. They're always hung up on some stupidity always. And I don't think we're made that way. We'll respect our parents no matter what. Meaning, mom and dad, if I agree with you or don't, and some things you do that I really just don't understand. But even if I didn't, we're still going to take your side of it and understand that you're supposed to be on this world to respect your parents, because that's what a real mensch would do. That's what Gigi would do. You're supposed to understand that if you don't know somebody, give them the benefit of the doubt, because that's what a real mensch would do, and that's what my grandmother would do. So I've taken the last 2, 3, 4 weeks, 3.5 weeks, and I didn't know if we're going to have Shloshim in person, but I've taken a lot of that time to reflect upon specific memories and stories and what Gigi means to me. And again, this is part of the reason I probably wasn't there often enough over the last 2 years, because Gigi, thank God she did go ahead and live a beautiful life. She lived for 96 years. I think she was 96. If I'm wrong, you all laugh at me, but I apologize. But I think she lived for 96 years, and I didn't want to get up and talk about the last 2, 3, 4 years at a funeral. I really wanted to think through my childhood years and realize how much of an influence my grandmother had on me. And I just want to tell her she's going to be greatly missed. And we love her. Everybody in this room loves her very, very much. And I will keep her part of me for now and forever. And I will try to make sure that, I'm going to keep her. I want her to be proud of me. And I know she'll be proud of all of us. And I just want to tell her that I love her and I will miss her. And Gigi, we're going to try our best. Thank you, guys.